They claim they did something. You know, they're claiming they need 15 years to return to the moon with 5 decades better technology than when they had an 8-year goal to go to the moon. Before cell phones and microwave ovens, they could do it in 8 years. Now, 50 years later, it's going to take 15 years to go to the moon.
What's the argument they're making today why we can't go back to the moon? Why we haven't been back to the moon? What's the argument? What are they making? But they're making an argument. What's their argument?
Well, they said they destroyed all the technology, therefore they have to build it all again. Well, it only took them 8 years last time. You don't understand. I mean, Reagan said they'd go back to the moon in 5 years. Never happened. Then the president after him, Clinton, said they'd go to the moon. Never happened. George Bush Sr. said they'd return to the moon in 5 years. Never happened. George Bush Jr. said twice they'll go to the moon in 5 years. Never happened. Obama said we'd go to the moon in 5 years. Never happened. They said we're going to send an unmanned probe, and they said they're going to send an unmanned probe to orbit the moon, and that never happened. They said that in 2016, by 2018, we'll have an unmanned probe going around the moon. That never happened. They can't even do that.
Did Trump ever say we're going on the moon? We're gonna.
I think he set the goal of 2024, and they just said about, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago they can't do that either. And China, which is the most industrialized nation on the planet, says they need 15 years minimum in order to go to the moon. So how come they could do it 50 years ago in 8 years, and now with 5 decades better rocket and computer technology, they need twice the time to go to the moon? It's illogical. There's never been a technological achievement that no one could repeat 50 years later. Never happened.
Just crazy questions for you.
It was fraudulent.
Well, now, one thing, you have a theory about the moon, and we expect to be able to get observable facts about the moon fairly soon. What is your theory?
Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or 11 years ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is a plasma phenomena, cosmic plasma, and that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a complete confirmation.
What will be the result if you're proved to be correct in your theories?
The result will be profound and decisive, because it will give proof that a complete reinvestigation of the laws of nature is necessary. Because if the moon is a plasma, no man will ever land on it. The soft landing attempts will all fail. That means that the mass of the moon is less, far less than is currently assumed. It's in a different state of energy, and it has far less mass. That means there is no more explanation for the tides. If the moon, for example, had only 1,000th part of its current mass, then the tides would only be 2 inches high under conventional theories instead of sometimes 14 feet. And that means that if it is proved that the moon is a plasma, then all gravitational theories are out, and a new concept of the cosmos and of its laws has to be evolved.
Aren't you being a bit adventurous, though, because you know we're going to be able to test out your theories on the moon fairly soon?
Well, not anymore. 11 years ago, of course, it was rather taking a risk. I was considered a lunatic, of course. But by now, the evidence, accumulated evidence, is already so much in my favor that I'm not taking any risks anymore. On the contrary, there is scientific views expressed all over the world now that the moon seems to be of a quite different nature of what was assumed.
But the Americans and Russians are thinking of landing men on it.
Well, that will never happen. Well, that will never happen. Well, that will never happen.